Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm back finally after a long break. I'm Karima for those who don't know me, and I'm with Mariana. She is our new astrologer in the Modern Witches, a good friend, a colleague, a wonderful astrologer again. So we decided that for the next couple of video for each season that's coming up in astrology, we're gonna do a little dive in for the upcoming season, but also going sign by sign and give you a little of an astrological reading. Exactly what I was doing in the past, but this time I decided to do it with Mariana because it's more fun with Mariana. So, Mariana, do you want to introduce a little bit of yourself? Like, just say a few words.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. It's so good to be here with Karima, with you, Modern Witches. I'm an astrologer, Circassian astrologer from Russia. And I don't even know what to tell you guys about me. I'm a writer. I love writing about astrology.
Yeah, your
Um,
Instagram is pretty amazing how you write about
thank
astrology. It's truly poetry. I just invite
Oh,
everybody. We'll put it in the description below her Instagram, but I just invite everybody to look at her Instagram. Really inspiring, beautiful image all the time. I don't know where you find your image, your photo. I'm all the time struggling to find good photo on the Instagram, but yours is like on the
yeah.
top. Plus your writing on the top. I always love it.
Thank you, love. It's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, it's just so good to be part of this coven, this community of modern witches. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful. And working
Yeah.
with Karima all the time is just like a joy
Yeah.
because and we're both Aries ascendants. I guess there's like a fire thing happening. It's
Yeah.
just like a lot of it, and we just like bounce off each other, and I like really love it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
excited. Yeah.
And we usually feel that like because like we're ascending in Aries, so like I do feel like we're living even if we have obviously different chart, but like we're still like going through sometimes some major theme that like oh really resonate. Like I just feel sometimes you're
Absolutely.
like you tell me something and I'm like, oh my god, I'm just going for the same thing. And
Exactly.
so and we're recording in this full moon in Cancer, so we're both feeling really homey. like
I was just telling you, and I'll just share with everyone, I'm surrounded by all sorts of beverages I might want. So I feel comforted. I'm like coffee and tea and water. And then I have like seriously a bowl of popcorn on the side just in
I love
case
it.
I need a snack.
I love it. Oh my god, I love it. So yeah, for those who's watching the video on YouTube, I mean, you can see our faces. For those on the podcast, is audio. You can listen to both, watch on YouTube, or listen to the podcast if you're driving, if you're running, whatever. And so right now, what we're gonna do is to go over a little bit of the major transit for Aquarius season. So Aquarius season is from January 20 to February 18. So in a couple of days for us. And then after that, we'll go sign by sign. We'll try to spend 5 minutes for each sign of the zodiac, Mariana and I, and just talk about the major transit for you, in which houses, what a key and area of life's gonna come up for you during that season, basically.
Mhm. Love it.
And we are just going to start by talking about a little bit of what has happening this month. Are you okay, Marina, with that?
Absolutely love it. I
Okay.
just sorry, I just looked at the slides and I noticed that like some of the dates are still in the Cancer season. So forgive me for those who are watching. We're gonna be talking, but I'm correcting it right now. But
Okay,
yeah,
no
let's
problem.
talk about the overall energies of the upcoming month.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a very exciting time.
yeah. So basically, the sun is entering Aquarius on the night for those who are living in the Pacific on the West Coast
Yeah.
on January 19, and for those others, January 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so Aquarius is really just do a reminder summary. Aquarius is a fixed sign or air
Mm-hmm.
sign, is a water bear. A lot
Yeah.
of people are really confused about that because they always think that it's a water sign. And then,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's an air, really active mind. So I do feel collectively there is a wave or a lot of coming from our body to our mind and maybe overthinking things during Aquarius season. Also, Aquarius season is also known, Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius, is also known
Mhm.
for talking about social justice, community, group in general. And so that's a great time to actually activate those topics. So Aquarius season is going to last for a month, but a lot of things are happening during that season. And
Mhm.
even if we went through Capricorn season,
Mhm.
but we still have, even if our sun, our conscience is moving into Aquarius, we still have a lot of things in Capricorn.
Yeah.
So Capricorn is still staying with us. So we have this month this balance between earth and between air. So it's a great. I do like the combo air and earth, even if those, I will say, elemental sign are not supposed to match. Usually air is with fire, if it's fire, and earth is with water. But I
Mhm.
like the combo earth and air because air is asking us to think, to really think fast and to have many ideas, and earth is asking to really ground those ideas. So it might be a balance between picking what you want, your
Mhm.
idea that you want, and
Yeah,
really implementing the one that you pick in the long run with Capricorn.
for sure.
So yeah, and do you want to talk about why we're talking about this? Because Mars and Venus, your action and what you love is in
Yeah,
Capricorn.
gonna
So
be spending pretty much Mars is gonna be Mars is moving into Capricorn from Sagittarius on January 24th, and it's gonna be in Capricorn throughout the whole Aquarius season into Pisces season. So the action that we take this month has a lot to do with Capricornian energy, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It loves being there. It's very strong there. It's in like after like being in Aries and Scorpio, it might be the strongest placement for Mars. So here we have this sense of invigoration, but also very targeted invigoration. We know what we want to implement. We go after that with like very targeted energy. And also, let's not forget that Venus also is in Capricorn, retrograding until January 29th. And oh my God, here we do have a little bit of re-evaluation of our inner values with the collective values. Alignment is happening here, because a lot of Aquarian energy and a lot of energy in Capricorn, we are building a bridge here, right? And for that, we need to truly understand our values, which is like very Venusian process. I think it's very, I love Venus in retrograde, honestly. I know it's
yeah.
tough on a lot of people, but God, we cannot move forward until we do this reevaluation.
Yeah. And yet,
Yeah.
like you said, I just want to pick up on what you said about Mars being exalted in Capricorn. I think it's a
Mhm.
great placement
Mhm.
for like really putting in motion what the planting the first seed is great,
Mhm.
because we're going to have a conjunction of Mars and Venus
Yeah.
together on February 13. And so this conjunction is the female principle with the male principle coming together. So there's two polarity in ourselves coming together to actually starting or marching together at the same rhythm
Mhm.
or on something. And so we're going to talk about it sign by sign. Where is your Capricorn, in which area of your life? So some people it's career, some people it's relationship.
Yeah.
So I do act it as a new moon. I don't know how for you, Mariana, but this Venus and Mars conjunction, for me, I will do a ritual. I will put an intention that is
Mhm.
related to the topic of the house that is in my chart. But I do act it like it's a new moon for me as the start of
Absolutely.
process, of a new cycle.
Absolutely, because for those who are new to astrology, conjunctions are initiations. That's where a cycle starts. And cycle unfolds. So we on this conjunction between Venus and Mars on February 13th, we, like you said, we merge female and male principles within ourselves in the
Mm-hmm.
given area of the chart where Capricorn falls for you specifically, and we start something new and from a very hopefully balanced place. And yeah, it is like a new moon, and through the journey of Venus and Mars, the first square will be the first milestone, the opposition will be development, and until next conjunction we are going through that sort of a new moon cycle, but it's not new moon, it's a Venus Mars cycle.
And I was thinking in terms of the, because like we're gonna go side by side, of course, but like in terms of the general feeling or like vibe of what is happening collectively, there is something that I wish we can do with this Venus and Mars conjunction in Capricorn, which is in Capricorn is sign of institution, government, authority. And when I see the Venus and Mars coming together, I'm hoping that there is something coming about gender related, you know, and how we start to see things or how we start to implementing by the law of with the government as like something more tangible that is implemented in the law. And so I'm hoping that this kind of a new cycle of, and we saw it coming, it's growing all around the world, which is beautiful, the diversity of gender or how we see gender in our world. So I do feel like I'm hoping also, because it's in Capricorn, because it's a sign of institution and government and politics, and with Pluto there, of course, because it's still hanging out there. Even
Pluto,
if
where can we go without Pluto?
Late 24 is still like we're still in like 2024 with Pluto in that area of this part in the sign. But I'm just hoping that it's maybe a new starting thing around this.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And you know what? As you speak, I'm thinking that let's not forget that Capricorn is a feminine sign. So interestingly, we can have maybe some interesting female energies come into prominence during that conjunction or around it or leading up to it, you know, because it's so interesting when we think about Capricorn that we associate it with the masculine energy, when in essence, it's a feminine energy. It's an energy of like receptivity and understanding on a deep level, like sort of like bird's eye view, because it's associated with the 10th house. So I'm thinking like quite possible, like towards what you said, some like either gender themes will come to a forefront and will be a topic of conversation up in the governmental areas, and or like some feminine energies will be coming through strong.
I just like this idea. And also don't forget that, like, so we're talking a lot about Capricorn because we still have so much Venus retrograde, Venus, Mars and Pluto, and Mercury retrograde. Even if it started retrogression in Aquarius, going to go back to Capricorn and conjunct Pluto. So it's still so much activity in Capricorn. It seems that our conscience, the sun, individually went through that part. And just now it's just all those planets around. It's like our conscience and our close planet, which is like, you know, not our social planet, but our personal planet, or coming following the step of that, which is like interesting. And but we still have just the sign after, which is Aquarius, having this major conjunction of Sun and Saturn.
Yeah, big one.
Inside on February 4th. And so I do think there's like, like Saturn and the Sun going together. So basically starting also a new cycle. So there's a lot of new conjunction and new cycles that period. And so what is like the restructure of our idea of society? So because Aquarius, and like I see Aquarius as the community, as the people, you know, and I see Capricorn as a government. So I'm like thinking of the Sun conjuncting Saturn, starting a new cycle for this year. Like in terms of us, like what we decide to start, what do we decide to push forward, and you know how the government's going to follow. I just see those two like as complementary
things. You know, I just want to like bring something up towards that Sun-Saturn conjunction. Today we have Venus on a midpoint between Sun and Saturn, right? So this full moon in many ways is very much, because Venus is on midpoint and this full moon is so full of energies, leading up to that Sun-Saturn conjunction, I think right now during this full moon, we have such a potent moment, Venus being in the midpoint, where we can understand so much more deeper the values we want to bring into the collective. How can we be a part of the collective and also honor our needs of the collective? And then by the time Sun and Saturn conjunct, we have this like profound realization of how can we be part of this new structure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so and we also have, let's not forget, just before going sign by sign, I want to talk about with you, Mariana, this full moon and this new moon that is happening during Aquarius season. Because of course we have a lunation as always for each season. Usually we have one new moon and one full moon. So the new moon is going to be in Aquarius, in the 11th house. Oh, sorry. It's mine 11th house.
Yeah,
February 1st. And so we have a new moon in Aquarius on February 1st.
Yep.
And we have a full moon in Leo on February 16th.
Yeah.
So I do, like, again, there is something we talk about in the new moon. So I do think there's something in terms of your idea or like how we structure our idea. There is some, Aquarius for me, because there's Saturn, then there's the sun, there's the mental health topics that is coming up. In terms of what we do, to our stress level, anxiety, how we sleep, etc. I do think in our community, I do feel we need to think more and more about those. We do think about those individually. In my work, I see a lot of people coming with major sleeping problem, anxiety, stress problem is in our society right now. That is the reality. But I do think collectively this new moon in Aquarius, even if I want to talk about the social justice part and the new idea and what you implement in our society for a better justice, I do think there's the mental health with Saturn here.
I think you're right.
That we need to focus on as a collective
mental health.
Because that's a problem in our youth. That's a problem, and for like we see more and more kids having those stress, anxiety, mental health problem, and we're like, what the hell is happening? So I do think there's also something collectively that we need to think about it, especially with Saturn there.
I 100% agree, and like it's such a good point because just in general, Aquarius energy is a very high-strung energy. It's very nervous energy because it has so much vibration. It's like at the end of the day, it's like associated with electricity among other things. So the inner vibrations, the collective vibrations can really throw us off. So personal mental health, like you said, collective mental health matters like so much. And for the new moon, I'm looking at the chart, Saturn is right there. They're like Sun, Moon, Saturn, and then Uranus is squaring this new moon. So that's like adds that mental health component.
Electricity thing. So I do think there's like again with Saturn and Uranus that we have been doing in 2021, and now doing this new moon and still for 2022. There's this like new against the old, old value against new value, new thinkers about old thinker, new philosophies about old philosophy. I just feel like we're like in like this turmoil of ideas where like it was never that high before. I mean, I don't remember having those huge differences between the new ideas and I don't put it with age or generation, because I see a lot of people from the past generation definitely taking over those new philosophy or those new views that the world is bringing. So I do think it's just like depending on who you are and what is idea is resonate with you, more conservative or more progressive idea.
For sure.
So I do think there's new path during this new moon around it.
New appreciation for Earth, Uranus and Taurus. New appreciation for agriculture, how we use land, the revolution, agricultural revolution in many ways. there's so many things. And Aquarius season, because it's like the last of 12 signs, it's the last sign, at least the way I see it, the last sign that deals with people on a, like collective. Because when we go to Pisces, we're like, it's transpersonal, it's beyond people. It's something else. And this is sort of like, not to sound dramatic, but it's like every year Aquarius season for us, it's the last battle for humanity almost. What do we do here for humanity?
What the hell are we doing here?
Until we completely detach and be like, okay, now like rest is all we need right now before Aries season kicks in.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we're ready to go sign by sign. So basically this is all the slides or by sign, so you can follow your ascendant, your sun sign, or people like to do it through the moon. So it really depends on your preferences. If you're new about all of that, or if you don't know what to look, I will start with ascendant and sun and see what resonates the most with you. And if you like a pro and you want to dig deeper, like just go to your moon also to take your emotional side too. So yes, I like looking at my horoscope by the ascendant personally.
I always look from my moon, honestly, because how like we often base our decision on the emotional response. So I think
that's a really cool, like, and me, I'm like ascendant.
I think like it depends on how strong your ascendant versus your moon. My moon like sometimes dominates my chart. So
there we go. And it's also depends if you have a night chart or a day chart. So if you're born during the day, people feel that they're more aligned to the sun. If you're born during the night, people feel more aligned to the moon.
For sure. Yeah.
But to not overwhelm you, start by your ascendant, sun, or moon. That's the lesson. So let's start, and we're gonna do 5 minutes a little bit by sign. So I just start just to keep us on track, Mariana. So Aries sun, Aries ascendant, moon. Let's start. So basically, the sun is coming into your 11th house. So your 11th house is your goal, your hope, your group, your friends. How is also it represents nonprofit or where your causes. Like if you like into, I don't know, saving animals, that's gonna be where the season of Aquarius is gonna be where you're gonna be more highlighted or more fire up about those causes. So yes, the 11th house is kind of known, especially in traditional astrology, as the lucky house. Is really the favorable houses because it will group your goals and hopes and dreams. So the new moon that is happening on February 1st for you can definitely be about your dream, your hope. This is the important time for you, Aquarius sun or ascendant or moon. Because this part of your chart is favorable. It will uplifting you. And like if you listen to our first part of the video, we talk about with Mariana the fact that the sun and Saturn are getting together and they're also doing a square to Uranus during this new moon. So there's a lot of electricity inside of you and maybe a lot of change or new idea that's coming up around that time. Yes, do you want to add anything, Mariana?
I mean, as you said, it's a very favorable house. It's a house of gains, and gains sometimes, honestly, I don't think in Western astrology is that highlighted, but sometimes it's even monetary gains, because 11th house often associated with monetary gains through community, through like networking. But the purpose here is that the gains serve the bigger collective. And it's interesting. I love 11th house because the transition from 10th, where our personal need to shine, to be seen, to have authority, shifts into sharing with people that authority. Like it's very much it's a house of equality.
Mm-hmm.
on one side. Aquarius energy, 11th house energy is very tricky energy. It's because it's an
Yeah, it
energy,
is.
because it's an
Sometimes it's like,
energy of revolution, but it's also energy of wanting to things the way you want them, how you perceive it's the best for the collective. So to walk the line, the middle line of wanting the best and being flexible enough to be able to shift your viewpoint about what's the best, actually,
hmm.
it's very much 11th house thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like it also because we know that there is also in this part of your chart for Aries Sun, Ascendant, and Moon, there is this conjunction with Saturn that's happening. Your Sun, the Sun is conjuncting Saturn in that part of the chart. So it's like a new moon that is happening on February 1st, but I know this conjunction of Saturn and the Sun on February 4th gonna be also a key point for you to have new idea because basically Saturn is was in Kazemi with the sun is basically is the sun is recharging Saturn. So it's a new beginning also in your thought process. And because it is related to your group and and friends, that might be especially the past since Saturn came to that part of your chart, a lot of shift and movement around who you affiliate with and what is yeah like your group of friends might sometimes come from them, sometimes come from you, like how you maybe start to shift apart or how the relationship change because you are changing, because your interest is changing, or because they are issue related to the past that's coming up. So the Saturn is a cleaning, is cleaning that part of your chart, is like really like going through and say what is the matter, like what is important. It's like not the quantity but the quality of your relationship with
Absolutely.
your group and friends. And the same with your hope and dream and intention. It's not the quantity, is the quality of those intentions. Is maybe one or two, but those are the major point like of like a sniper like is a
Thank
really
you for
important.
saying that. You're so it's such you so well put that like the whole analogy because truly for Aries ascendant people that targeted, like you said, sniper energy,
Yeah,
we overwhelm ourselves, especially because that Sun Saturn conjunction is happening right after the new moon, and the moon is our emotion. So here we have this emotional impetus, this new beginning to start something. So we are supported by our emotions to build this new foundation, to build this new foundation where almost like the sun joins the moon, because sun Saturn joined the moon, or moon joins sun Saturn, and they like there's like this force that's backed by inner need, collective need, ego, spirit need, like they come together. Here we need to keep in mind we have to be organized. We need to think how we can organize better, because moon is people also, right? And new moon here is like, how can we organize better? How can we do this better? Like you said, what kind of group am I willing to share my sun energy with? Very big one.
yeah, agree.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all of this that's happening into your 11th house, but even if the sun left Capricorn, which represents your 10th house, which is your career, how you stand, how you see yourself in the world, how you want to like your status in the world is your life goal too. And Mariana, you can add it also after if you want to like key points on the about the 10th house, because it's really important even if the sun left this house, because you have Mars, Venus, and Pluto still hanging there, of course, for a long time. But Mars, Venus coming to Venus retrograding in that part is going to go direct, I think, on January 29, and we'll meet with Mars in that part of the chart. So it's a lot of thing, and I do think for you that time is related to your career, how you want to, who like the people that you want to be surrounded, the collaboration you want to have into the 11th house, but also what is your plan and your goal long term that is happening in your career, in your status, or what you like, what you want to build for this lifetime.
You know what I'm thinking? Before we bring it to the collect, like it's almost like we tie in loose ends in the 10th house in the chart, in part of our chart that like the 10th house. We're like tying those loose ends, sort of understanding for ourselves, for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising people. What do we want to bring into the collective? We have to really, because there's a Mercury retrograde there going back into Capricorn and Venus retrograde there in the beginning of Aquarius season. It's like, what from this 10th house, what do we do? What do we take in and what do we leave behind?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of leaving behind of those like career goals or ideas about what we should be doing in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And then like refining that to present a more pure version or more our version, true version into the Aquarius season almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like also like Mercury is going back to also is in 11th house retrograding. Okay. So like all the topic that we talk about the 11th house gonna be really highlighted and really you're gonna focus on. But this Mercury retrograde is gonna go back to the 10th house in conjunct Pluto. Which Pluto, yeah, we know it's the planet of the underworld, it's the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth. It can be really uncomfortable. We can be really dramatic for a week because it can be asking us for change and we are not sure about anything because the Mercury, it's about the mind. It's your mind, it's your thought process, it's how you communicate. It's also about contract and businesses. So there is probably underlining and topics for some of you around that. But it's asking you to review that thought process, basically. It's like a new start. I'm like, okay, you're thinking that's again quality over quantity always, and especially also with Pluto, that's making like housekeeping. It's like cleaning up,
Oh my
and that's
God.
to remove the pillar. Like
Major surgeon, I call it a surgeon of the zodiac.
yeah, exactly.
Cutting off tumors left and right.
Exactly. So I hope Aries that was helpful for you. We wish you a happy season. Mariana and I, you can look to your ascendant, sun, and moon if you didn't look for it. And we see you in next season. Bye-bye. Taurus. Taurus and ascendant. So for you, Taurus, the sun is going into your 10th house. So what is the 10th house? So the 10th house is about career, it's about your status in life, it's about how you work in life, but more your work life than like your daily work. It's more about what you want to create in this lifetime. Also, I like how do you want to be seen, even if the ascendant is also like sometimes we attach the ascendant to how do you want to be seen or how you present yourself to the world. The 10th house is more in terms of your career or like your capacity in the world or your like gift.
Public image.
So yeah, Mariana, you want to talk about the sun and in Aquarius, but also the new moon and this Sun Saturn conjunction?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sun in Aquarius for Taurus ascendant and Sun and Moon, if you'd like. It's a very interesting thing. With I want to throw Uranus in there right now because it's very important here. For a lot of Taurus people, there is a sense of revolutionizing their career happening, and this Aquarius season will be like in many ways with Saturn being in their 10th house and Sun being there in the 10th house. It's like you are solidifying, almost crystallizing how do you want your public image to look, right? What do you want to be seen as? And because Taurus energy, especially Taurus ascendant energy, is so tightly like intertwined with the value system. Here, Tauruses have to reevaluate their own value system so they can like really project that value system during the Sun in Aquarius into their public image. It's like all they do has to have value. If their career doesn't bring value to, especially in Aquarius, to the collective, it might not be that fulfilling at the end of the day. So that's, and sometimes because 10th house is always like squares ascendant, right? So it's like it's always a challenge to kind of like get ourselves into the place where of the 10th house, the way we want to be perceived, to uphold our ideas. And Taurus ascendant people have to really identify their values. And I want to like slide into the Venus in their 9th house.
Yeah, the Venus into the ninth house, especially
So how do you do it?
side?
By rethinking your spiritual values, by rethinking your philosophies, by understanding better the workings of the world, the spiritual world. You can actually like uplift or get your career to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I like see it.
Exactly. And it is, like you said, there's a really revolutionary tone of it. Like I want to do something different. I want to do something that people didn't do before. There's something that is like really unique in that sense.
Yeah.
Or I want to do something that is related to something that will benefit people.
For sure.
It can be through politics, it can be through activism, it can be through taking care, it can be even in a smaller way. But it is something like taking care of your community, taking care of your neighborhood, doing like something for your neighbor. Like it can be like that kind of vibe.
Planting trees in your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's what I'm thinking right now.
With Taurus ascendant.
For Taurus ascendant, I'm like, how can I like benefit the community by creating healthier connection?
Yeah.
My image is someone who brings value through the status that I have, almost like that. And like maybe teaching Venus, maybe Tauruses have so much to share, especially Uranus being their like on their ascendant or sun. They gain these revelations, and now as Venus is retrograding through their 9th house, they're like, I want to share something, I want to teach something, and they're refining that idea to bring it into the 10th house.
And it's interesting because Venus is your planet. Venus is your ruler. And so Venus in the 9th house retrograding for the past since December, and now going back direct and going through Pluto, and he's gonna go again through Pluto. She's gonna go again through Pluto. I put a gender on Venus. She's a she.
She is.
Yeah, she's. And so I just feel like there is question maybe around faith, around your spirituality, or around your practicing ritual, or how you see God or your universe. There's something about the 9th house that is deeply spiritual, that is philosophic, that is like and it is about spirituality and religion. So whatever you practice, it can be your religion, or you can be just spiritual. There's this question like, do I like, for some of you, I want to get more into it. What do I like? Do I like worshiping a goddess? Do I like just communicating with plant and being around land and putting my hand into the soil and planting stuff? And that's why I feel connected to something higher than myself. Or do I like to meditate every day? There's this question of like, what do I really like? And what can it like last for a long time in the Capricorn? Because it's Capricorn. Still, we're in Capricorn. Like with Venus is in Capricorn. So it's still like in the long term, like what can I maintain in the long run?
In concrete ways. In the
concrete ways.
Not abstract. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And with Venus conjuncting Mars on February 13th, there's kind of like, oh, I can get a new kind of a new spiritual practice, or I can get like a new or a new study. This also they have a study, so it can be a program, a workshop that you like, and you decide to do a certification. Whatever is how that is also the class of study can be linked to spiritual. This is a great time for you to do it. Because the action part of Mars will want you to, it will push you to do something more.
Yeah, like, it's like putting fire to that.
Yeah.
To that Venus almost. Like, how do we make it happen? And because it happens, the Venus-Mars conjunction happens.
And then February 13th.
Yeah, after everything goes direct.
Yeah.
So here we have such a like push forward. And for Taurus people, it's that like, okay, now I like with greater clarity around my like spiritual goals or my need like maybe to go study something else, like get a higher knowledge about something else, I can go and pursue that. And maybe it has something to do with like bringing together divine masculine, divine feminine,
Yeah.
you know, like
Maybe about the
balancing,
balance.
helping, teaching people about the balancing act of it, or like something like that.
Exactly.
And then but because it's all happening in the Aquarius season for Taurus, it serves the purpose of bringing it out in the open,
Yeah.
showing it to
Being
people.
seen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like your full moon, the new moon in Aquarius in the 10th house, career
Mhm.
status in the February 1st, and the full moon in Leo that are happening in your 4th house on
Yeah.
February 16 days. There's also a question of balance between your home,
Mhm.
between your family, how you spend time, self-care, like yourself, for yourself,
Mhm.
how will bring you joy, and how do you balance this with what you want to do in the world. So the moon cycle for you this season is about your roots to your like higher like to your life outside. So this might be that's the thing going on also during that season for you.
You know what? I just got a thought that, like, for a Taurus ascendant people, Aquarius season is so important because it has so much to do with ancestry. It has so
Yeah.
much to do with that, like, different view on your ancestors, a
Yeah.
new, like, maybe like unorthodox way to look at what have been passed down to you, because with full moon in Leo, something has to be released in the fourth house, right?
Yeah.
And the Aquarius season sort of helps you to gain a different perspective about
Mm-hmm.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I love
we
it.
will leave you on that note. So thank you, Taurus, for listening to us. We wish you a happy season. Check out your Ascendant, Sun, and Moon if you didn't see it yet. And we see you next season. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Gemini Sun, Ascendant, and Moon. So for you, the Sun in Aquarius is going to your ninth house from January 20 to February 18. And the ninth house is going to be the house that's going to be like the sun's going to focus on. And for you, that represent your spiritual belief, your knowledge, your travel. Yes, even if we're COVID time, that still represent that part of your chart. So you might feel an urge to go in far land. Yeah, your study and your spiritual practice and belief. And what do you see as maybe God or your universe? What do you think as divine to do in that house?
Mhm.
And that house going to be challenged because we still have Saturn inside us, still there in that part of your chart since last year. I think it was last year or the year before. I don't quote me on that. I don't have the date in my head, but there is this thing that's happening in that house where Sun and Saturn's going to conjunct. Plus, you're going to have a new moon in that part of your chart. So there's a lot of thing gonna be on Earth and fold in that area. And with Mariana, you can say more about it
Yeah.
if you
For
want to.
Stan, like, honestly, Aquarius and Gemini is such a, like, dynamic duo, and they're like, when the sun is in Aquarius, Gemini gets this, like, real push towards, like, exploration and expansion. Those Saturn, like, is
Those siblings, they're air signs, so they
yeah, they are,
understand
like,
each other. They understand this elemental fast
yeah,
thinking pace that are
there's
happening. Yeah,
harmony there. There's like absolute harmony there. Even with Saturn for being there, it still harmoniously aspects the Gemini ascendant people. So it, not to say it's going to be easy, with a little effort, there is a potential for huge breakthroughs in
mm,
terms of your higher knowledge, in
yeah,
terms of your of being able to shine a light on what matters to you on a greater scale, on a spiritual scale. It's
yeah,
just such a, and then and it, which is generally, it's very hard for Gemini to make a choice, to solidify something, to make a concrete, like, final decision. Is always like a lot of back and forth happening. I believe with Saturn here, there's a like, which I think is super positive for Gemini people, because it kind of helps that ground that energy in a harmonious way. So, and it's like, which Gemini people like should really appreciate. It's like this season where you can ground your marvelous like vision and understanding of the world in a concrete ways. I think communication, writing, writing a lot during Aquarius season, talking a lot, doing communicating about your beliefs on various social networks for Gemini Ascendant people is just so much. It's very supported, and then having a longevity to it because Saturn is there, something that will stand a test of time.
Yeah, and Saturn is asking you to be, yes, in that part of the chart is asking you to be more tangible, less like kind of everywhere, and more like bringing to one thing or one maybe spiritual practice that you believe in. There's this quote of like Saturn in this chart, like in this part of your chart, that is like kind of asking you, what do you believe in? What is your are you believing in something? Do you believe in the power of earth? Do you believe in Gaia? Do you believe in God? Do you want to attach to one religion? Do you not? There's a lot of things that is like asking you questions. So when that comes in this part of the chart, that's really like an earth something that like, what do you want to believe in? Do you want to believe in something? Or what is your value? What is like your spiritual practice? And in Aquarius, that can be in to give to others. That can be like, I want to do something. I want to believe in something that give to everyone or that help people.
Yeah.
Not that like break apart people, but that bring together people.
Sure.
And that's really inclusive. That can be about this. But with the sun coming is highlighting that part of your chart, and with this new moon plus the sun and Saturn conjunction that happened on February 4th, there's maybe something that's coming up for you that you say, oh, that is it, I want to do this. Or that can be about studying, that can be about a topic that you would like to dig more about it. There's something, I'm just saying,
a lot of things
about plants. This can be a community herbalist thing that you say, oh, I like that, I want to learn about it, I want to, my body needs nourishment and I need to connect more to the plant area. There's something about this. Anything that is related to knowledge that can increase your spirituality, that can increase your daily ritual around this and your belief system will be nourishing during that season.
Yeah. It's almost like Saturn is asking, what are you willing to put time and effort in? What's worth, because Saturn is time and effort and longevity. Like, what are you willing to put time in that will create a greater expansion for the community, right?
Yeah.
How can
exactly. And so there is also on the background, there's Mars and there's Venus in Capricorn in your 8th house.
Yeah.
So this is not an easy house. Everybody's like, oh my God, I don't want anything in the 8th house.
But it's our favorite house. We love 8th house. Love us back.
We team 8th house. But there is also that happening. So the 8th house is, if you want, do you want to start by talking about it?
Absolutely. I can. Yeah. So the having Mars move on January 24th into your 8th house, which associated with with the Scorpionic energy, right? So there is a deep, like Hades level of transformation in your life into how do you express your power, how do you communicate and translate the power in the outer world, because Capricorn always is about the outer, right? So though it's an 8th house, it's a deep inner transformations. It's like, how are you relating the, like, how your dynamic between you and authority figures in your life in many ways will be highlighted, and how does it affect you on a very deep personal level, right? relationship with resources for Gemini people will undergo a lot of back and forth in this season, especially with once Mercury goes back, or the ruler of Gemini goes back into Capricorn from Aquarius. Themes of um, resources that you give versus resources that you receive, the depth of knowledge. How deep are you willing to go to understand something? The depth, like, because Mercury is going back into Capricorn, it tells us that there's some things you might have missed. There's some things that you have kind of like brushed over, which is like sometimes a very mercurial thing, right? And because it's going back into Capricorn, it's like very symbolic for Gemini people, where it's like, well, not something has not been finished here, something of a very transformational nature. You've tried to brush it off.
Yeah.
You have to really return and look over certain very deep rooted things within yourself.
Yeah, and so I'm going to add it about the sharing part that you said, because the eighth house is about your collaboration, your shared resources. And so you had Venus going retrograde in December in that part of the chart, and you're having Mars coming and Venus station direct let me check the date, on January 29. So there is the collaboration part with maybe your partner, husband, around money, around finances, around buying a house, around buying land, whatever you with your partner, the share resources about, and like investing in something that may be question about this. And Venus is about finance, also it's about also money. So there is maybe a lot of turmoil around this. I don't know if I say it right, but I just did. Just say it. Around like in questioning, and maybe there is a new beginning, especially when Venus started to go direct, Mars going direct in that part of the chart. In Capricorn, there is maybe decision that you're making around your resources, around your shared resources. And when I say also with your partner, it can be with a friend, anybody, a business partner. I'm including anybody that you have kind of a shared, a collaboration, a contract, something like that. And so when Venus and Mars are coming together in conjunct on February 13th and going to move forward, there's maybe this new partnership that's coming in that you have been reviewing for the past month, a new plan that's coming up, or a conclusion that's happening. So there's a lot in that part of the show that's about shared resources. And on an uplifting note, I love talking about the eighth house in terms of witches and witchcraft, and the manifestation and unseen arts. And I do feel this house embody this. So if you like having an attraction with it, if you still kind of a pull with like ritual, witchcraft, manifestation, I do feel it's normal doing for you, because there's so much happening in your eighth house. And with Capricorn, which is about your study, if you feel like studying about this or going deeper into that sphere, go for it. This is the time.
It is high time. And also, like, because Venus again is retrograde in eighth house, you're refining that what brings value into your life in terms of like those rituals, which ones work for you, which ones don't. Like what, like how your relationship with divine feminine for Geminis is going to be like, and has been so far. It's like a lot of transformation in terms of like that, because the Venus is the 12th house for Gemini. So it's like a lot of like deep transformations in terms of like that feminine energy. And maybe is an advice for Gemini ascendant people. It's a great time to really like connect to that feminine side of you, to like trying to gain maybe a deeper knowledge, find teachers maybe, or people who can assist you in tapping into that, because you have so much energy in your ninth house. So like the teachers, so we have to always like merge all these energies flowing together, because they're gonna affect each other.
But I hope that was helpful, Geminis, we wish you a happy season. Don't hesitate to look at your sun, ascendant, and moon if you didn't to have more insight. And happy season. See you next season. Bye bye. Cancer, sun, ascendant, rising, moon, everything. I'm just doing like go for
Cancer.
it, guys. So the sun for you for this season is going into your eighth house. This is your Aquarius house from January 20 to February 18. And so for you, this house is about it's a transformation house. It's a transformation house. It's a rebirth place. It's also it can be seen as sometimes a little bit a dark place when we go under kind of thing and go to our unconscious and go deeper, emotionally deeper. And so because the sun is highlighting this part, this season for you can really be about how you deeply transform it yourself into the world to prep for Pisces season, which is going to a house that is really much way more outside and outgoing. So, and there's a lot of also topic around the eighth house that is about shared resources, partner. Is maybe a good time to create new project with someone or your partner. It can be around finance. It can be around buying or a property or something like this. I always just say
Mm-hmm.
that's about the house, the eighth house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the house of taxes is also the house of bills. So I'm just saying this like this. Just check on those. Just is
And
the
it's such
time.
an
Uh,
unusual place for Cancer. Aquarius season is a very like funky place for Cancer rising sun and moons, because Aquarius has so much to do with freedom and a sense of detachment, and Cancer is all about like, so transformation here happens in understanding your own need for freedom, your
yeah.
own need for pursuing greater goals outside of the shell,
Yeah.
crab shell that being.
Yeah, and I really think that for this season for Cancer, follow me here, Mariana. For
Okay.
this season for Cancer, I just feel it's about the relationship a lot because we have Mars,
Yeah,
Venus. Venus has been retrograding in that
seventh
particular
house.
part. So since December, this is a topic about relationship, your partner, but also your friend, like one-on-one more relationship.
Pluto
Um,
being there,
mhm.
Cancer's not getting much of a break in their
Yeah,
relationship
yeah.
area.
So when I see it going to the eighth house, which is more share resources, finances, and all that, I do think there's a relationship between the like having Mars and Venus into the seventh house, which is going, Venus is retrograding right now, but going moving forward, session direct on the 29th with a Mars coming into that part of this. So there's a lot of action around relationship and a lot of dynamics around it. And with the eighth house is about what do I do, like how do I color I will never say it.
Collaborate.
Like thank you. Collaboration with those relationship or those dynamic that's coming up. So it's a moment of creation with the other, with the friend, with the business partner, with your romantic partner. There's something around relationship that is
You know
heavy.
what I'm thinking? Yeah, as you say that in regards of relationship, as we going through, as Cancer people go through this transition from like Capricorn season into Aquarius season, a lot of endings and beginnings that happen in their seventh house, which leads them to a greater transformation naturally, because
Mm,
Cancers are so intimacy oriented energy.
yeah.
And here with Pluto transforming their seventh house of relationship and Venus being there, so they get a different view, like more personal inner view on all that, sort of seeing it from a different angle. And then it sends them into Aquarius again, like, how do I stand on my own feet?
So much.
So like, how do I stand on my own feet? How do I withhold my own emotions? And
Mm,
within that energy, the transformation for Cancer is happening, because for them, learning greater independence outside of relationships, that's what like kind of propels them into that like
Yeah.
transformative thing. But relationship often a trigger naturally, like for most signs, like 7, 8 after 7. So the 7th happens, the relationship, intimate connection propels us into transformation.
And this is an angular house, the 7th
Yep.
house, where your Mars and Venus is here. And your
Mhm.
Pluto, of course, has been here since 2008. So there's a lot of transformation. And
Yeah,
this is last
non-stop.
year, and it's going to conjunct Mercury, who's retrograding in that part of your chart. So there is so many turmoil and rebirth around that topic. And how do you see yourself in relationship? How much do you give into relationship? How much you're willing to start a new chapter in relationship, in your relationship? It can be friend, like I said, business, or lovers. There is also something that rang the bell when you told me about, like, I think you said something about like who I am or how am I, what is my value in terms, like you would like going around this. And I just thought about this full moon happening in Leo in the second house. For you, Cancer, you have a full moon on February 16 in the second house, and your new moon before, 2 weeks before, on February 1st in the eighth house. So there is this dynamic between the full moon in Leo in the second house, which is your skill, your money, your resources, that's coming to a completion, or that you realize or has been highlighted for you, or how you build your skill and your talents and how you organize your money compared to your shared resources, your collaboration, your contract with others. There's this dynamic of like, how am I making money with others and how am I making money with myself? And how do I distinguish myself, my skills, my talent, and putting it with others or in distribution with. I just feel like this dynamic with this new moon
A
is
lot of
related to my talents and what I can bring to a group or with another person, and how doing this balance I can have.
For sure. And yeah, and with this new moon in the 8th house, it's like how do I have this deeper exchange in terms that serves a higher purpose? How do I have this deeper exchange, maybe with myself, maybe with others, maybe with a partner? How do we produce something of a deeper value for the collective? For Cancers, it may be through like deep nurturing, through showing, like there is it's a very
how much I give to myself and how much I give to others. But I hope, Cancer, that was helpful for you. We wish you a happy season. Don't forget to check your moon, sun, or ascendant. And we'll see you next season. Bye-bye, guys. So Leo sun, Leo ascendant, Leo moon. I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish. The sun in Aquarius for you is in your 7th house. So for you, the season of Aquarius is about your relationship, your partner, the relationship of one-on-one. And a lot of people like link that houses to contract too. So there's a lot of, this is the topics that might be highlighted during that season. We have Saturn in that part of your chart that's going to make a conjunction to the sun, and I think is on February 4th. Yes, it's on February 4th. And this conjunction is going to start a new cycle for you, a year cycle for you, and about those topics. Plus, days before, 4 days before February 1st, you have a new moon exactly in that part of your chart. This new moon conjunct Saturn and square Uranus. So let's just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack here because Leo rising people specifically in the last year have been going through major redefining of their relationship dynamics. Maybe oftentimes more is needed from the partner. Partner requires more attention, so which puts more responsibility on the Leo ascendant person, and make you feel a little bit restricted But on a positive note, it's more of like how, like, if when Saturn is never randomly somewhere, it's there.
Saturn came in, just remind me, Saturn came in December 2020 to that part of, like in Aquarius.
Yeah.
So yeah, there has been, like said Mariana, this restructure of your relationship, your friendship, and also your partner, with your partner. There's more attention needed, more effort needed in that area of your life, and maybe relationships that are broken off that you need to move on because they came to an end. And that is really difficult, because that question, like, because Saturn is opposing your first house, there is this question automatically about yourself, because you're putting so much energy in relationship. So it's a dynamic, and this moon cycle is going to be about it. You have a full moon in Leo in your first house on February 15, and you have a new moon in February 1st in the seventh house. So even more added to that, this dynamic about, like, who am I and how much I give to others in my relationship, and what I want to build, what new relationship or new pathway I want to build with people, and not messing up with who I am really. If it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. It's like, I want to create meaningful quality relationship with Saturn here. With the sun coming to conjunct with this new moon, there's a new beginning, big bing bong happening in that part of your chart. And it's in order to make sure that you create long-standing relationship in accord with yourself, your first half, your Leo, this full moon.
Yeah, but before that happens, because normally Saturn opposition Ascendant signifies a time of sense of isolation from others, coldness, not receiving exactly what you need or want. And it's like the projections can be like really heavy here, of like, I'm not, especially for Leo Ascendant people, like there's a need for love, there is a need for praise and appreciation. And if they perceive or don't receive as much as they desire or need from their partners or colleagues or the people they deal on one-on-one basis, there might be a sense of isolation, which brings us.
God, you're so right, Mariana. You just hit the star gold for me. I just clicked. So my best friend is Ascendant Leo, and everything that you just said is so ringing true. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what she, like, a need for love, a need for, but with Saturn, usually it's taking it from you for a while until you rebuilding it. It's like really, Saturn is really tough on that. And it's making you missing that thing, and it's making you feel alone, because we're talking about relationship and yourself.
It serves a purpose, though.
It serves a purpose.
Greatest of self-sufficiency. Saturn always wants to make you more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
If it's not like, if you feel isolated with Sun, with Ascendant in Leo, if you feel that you're not receiving enough, maybe it's time to rethink the idea of yourself, which full moon in Leo will let you do.
And the moon in highlight that thing.
Yeah, it will really like be, how can I, like, the whole month, the whole season of Aquarius is about how can I be more self-sufficient? How can I, like, sort of not, and because it's transit, it's passing. The purpose of this particular one is to, and with Uranus squaring that, like you said, there is like a moment of like light bulb in terms of like, well, it's not all about it. What about my purpose in the world? Because with this transit, they can be such a hyper focus on relationship, because there is a sense of lack, scarcity there. But with Uranus there, it's almost like a light being there, like on and off, being like, maybe turn your attention towards a greater purpose for yourself, of how can you go after things that you want in your work and your career.
I like that. I love it. Thank you, Maria, bringing your wisdom. I love it. I love it. I really do.
What
Yes,
else
I
do we
have
have?
nothing to add about this
Do
thing. I have nothing to add.
should we talk about Mars
Yeah,
and Venus in sixth house?
yeah, because this is a really interesting combo for me because I feel like there's two like things happening in the background. There's something about relationship and yourself, which is really highlighted this month, but there's also something about related to your daily work, about your health, that
Mm-hmm.
is
Routine.
happening for a while now, since December, since Venus started to retrograding. Of course, Pluto is here. This part of the chart have been really highlighted,
Yeah.
but there's Venus retrograde happening in sixth house, going back direct, I believe, in January 29, and Mars coming into that part of the chart, moving into Capricorn in January 24th. So
Mm-hmm.
everything in your sixth house. So about your daily work, how you organize your day, how you
Mm-hmm.
schedule your day, but also about your health and how your body, how you feed your body, your nutriment, and your health being in general, your
Absolutely.
well. So there is something that is like probably in your work life, in your daily life, but questioning, especially with Venus retrograde, about
Mm-hmm.
what do I want to do daily? What is my schedule? What do I do? What is the organization of my day
Mm-hmm.
to work, but also to be
Mm-hmm.
healthy for me? It can be like including meditation at the beginning of the month. It can be taking new supplement. There is something that you want to combine between your healthy routine and your work life,
Absolutely.
that has been in the background for a moment now, and that you're trying to review and see what is working best for you.
For
And
sure.
Mars coming into that part of your chart, and Venus and Mars conjuncting on February 13th, it's really finding like the combo of your being, the feminine part and the masculine part, and how work together, the polarity of those two, how to bring them together in your body, healthy and in terms of health, but also in your work life.
Yeah. Venus in the sixth house. Yeah. How do you pamper yourself on a daily basis? How do you like
Pleasure.
how do you add value to your routine? Is your routine just a routine? Is it lacking value at this point? It's just a habit, it might ask you, something like that. And especially because Venus rules your 10th house and Uranus is there. So it's like this like how my routine is connected to what I want to do on a bigger scale. How is it helping or not helping, for that
Yeah, or
matter,
not.
my career?
Yeah. Is it like fuck this up, or am I like helping my health? Like, yeah.
Exactly. Is sometimes maybe too much of Venus can
Yeah.
be also a case. It can go both. It's not enough, or a bit too much. Is self what's that word when you like kind of spoil yourself?
Yeah.
Is in detriment to your higher goals.
Yeah.
Or maybe you need more of that. A lot of Venusian questions in terms of like your um, daily activities. And the Mars being there, it's going from on 24th. You mentioned that in Capricorn, and it's like yeah. Honestly, it's just something to be mindful of during this season. Sixth house is very much about digestive things. Mars is inflammation. So what you eat, what kind of foods contribute to inflammatory like situations.
Yeah.
Maybe too much Venus things, because Mars and Venus together, too much sweets, let's say, on a daily
I love
basis,
that.
can
Yeah.
create some kind of like sixth house issues with Mars.
Yeah.
So something to rethink, and Venus, Mars are giving you that opportunity to refine your routine. Yeah.
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 Exactly. But I hope that was helpful, Leos. We wish you a happy season. Don't forget to check your sun, ascendant, and moon if you didn't. I see you. We see you next season. Bye bye. So for Virgo, sun, ascendant, and moon, Your sun, the sun is going to Aquarius from January 20 to February 18. And for you, it's your sixth house.
Yay.
Hello, your sixth house is you, Virgo. It's basically your ruler. It's like the house that is like linked to your sign.
Yeah.
So this is a really, it's a house that you know. It's a house that is like, that you can navigate really well in it. Mariana, do you want to go over the topic of this house?
Yeah, sixth house with it's primarily a house of healing for me, physical healing. It's a house of what do we do on daily basis to take away from or to add to our physical well-being. The service, how are we in service to others? How are we contributing to the well-being of all in our through our daily activities, right? So it's Aquarius, it's well-being of all. And I always say that Virgo season, sixth house, Virgo energy is preparation for the winter. So it's like Virgo has this tremendous responsibility of preparing the crop, like gathering the crops, or what Virgo does. Make sure that we don't starve to death in winter. So it comes in fruition by the end of winter when it's most needed in Aquarius season, right? So in Aquarius season, sixth house becomes like, all right, so what Virgo has done like back then, so now it contributes to the collective, right? So what, it makes sense what I'm saying.
No, it totally makes sense. And so for you, Virgo, that season can be really about the balance that you have in your daily work, like your schedule itself. What do you want to implement every day? Just be careful with Aquarius. You can have a lot of idea, a lot of things can come up. And so with Saturn there, again, like we said in the first part of this video when we talked about the energy in general, this is over quality and not quantity. So Virgo, you're pretty good at this, and you really focus on detail oriented, and you can do a lot in a short period of time. But this time with Saturn here is really asking you to focus on one or two things. And so I would just emphasize on that a little bit, and especially with Saturn conjunct the Sun and this new moon in this part of the chart. There's maybe a new health routine that you want to implement. There's maybe a new schedule that you want to implement that maybe benefit you more. But just be careful on not putting too much on that schedule. Like, we're thinking of long run and not short term. So yeah, good thing for cleaning. Like, I was thinking of people who do detox for 30 days. I won't use that right now. I would do something that implement something that you do for a year or two. Like, you know what I mean? Something that is more long on a long run. And also about your work life, and maybe a lot of changing in your work right now. You may be changing, moving job. You may be doing a promotion. There is something that is changing in your work, in your daily routine, or you're taking new project. There's something moving around that.
And I'm just thinking there's this sense of added responsibility in your work life that might feel a bit heavy, like Saturn in sixth house. There's like added responsibility, a sense of like needing to do more in your workplace or having more authority in your workplace. Sun being there, where you have to like take on more, and it's very important in parallel to that to take care of your physical body. Sixth house.
And so you also have a lot happening in your fifth house. So you have Mars and Venus that are there, and the fifth house can be a really good spark for you, especially in your work life, in having also good idea, because the fifth house is about creativity. It's about like having fun. It's playfulness. Is represent children, fertility. There's something that is light about the fifth house, and that asks you to go broader and expand your creativity. So there is a new, like, anything that you start in terms of art, that's a good time. You want to learn a new instrument? Do it right now. You want to learn how to draw?
long term, it's in Capricorn.
Exactly. Long term, there's something that you want to learn in terms of art, so that will like uplift you. Just do it. This is a great time. But I will say for the work life, that it can be a good combo in terms of creation and ideas. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a lot of like, because having fifth house in Capricorn is not always the easiest, because it's like sort of like a sense of like until later in life, you don't believe in your creative potential, like because Saturn there is like, no, you're here to do A, B, C day in and day out. And Virgo's like, yeah. And then when they're like hit 30, they're like, oh no, I have and this Venus and Mars retrograde in their fifth house. They're like, well, I do have something to share. I need just to understand what it is. I need to refine it. I need to put effort into that, but it's there,
Yeah.
So, and one thing I wanted to mention off topic of Venus and Mars, but like Virgo and Aquarius relationship, like sixth house in Aquarius, it's like be careful, those people with Virgo sun moon ascendant, that you don't let anxiety, which Aquarius energy is highly strict with itself. That's what people don't understand. And Virgo is also highly strict with themselves, very critical. Aquarius energy never feels like something is enough. And when Virgo, like they have like sixth house transit, they can just become overwhelmed with self-doubt here.
Yeah.
It's very important not to like consciously like hold off that energy.
Definitely.
Because nothing is good enough. And Aquarius energy with Saturn here, it's like what I have to offer is not good enough, is not the right attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of also the moon cycle that the Virgo going through.
Yeah.
Between the 12th and the sixth house. And it's really, those houses are known in astrology, specifically in traditional astrology, as the hardest hardest opposition of houses.
Yeah.
And so there is something about this full moon in Leo in the 12th house, which is something hidden, something that is coming up to light, but it's really about healing. I just like this combo between healing and the health of the sixth house, or the spirituality or the connection to the divine that can have the 12th house in a different one than the ninth house. More a connection that is come from nowhere, like that is come from not studying or going over a ritual, just a connection that can like channeling that can happen without you even noticing. That is happening in this combo with work and your health and your daily routine. So anything that you have a highlight around February 16, which is, oh, we forgot the T on the 16. I noticed. I can see Feb 16. that that can be like a nice, and anything that come up during that time, during that full moon, I will really acknowledge it. And dreams or like synchronicity that are coming up, that will guide you to implement in your daily routine, in your work, and in your health routine. So yeah, I like this combo.
I like it too. I would like to add something to that full moon in Leo. That full moon in Leo, fifth house, traditionally 12th house for Virgo, fifth house Capricorn for Virgo. So a lot of like child energy, maybe something from the childhood, subconscious mind can come through that will open the creativity through the fifth house in Capricorn. Definitely. That energy, because Virgo has hard time to play, just to play, like just to have a joy and like to let loose, because it's in the 12th house.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's somewhere, but it's like buried somewhere. And here with Venus being retrograde in the fifth house from Virgo, it's like there is this connection happening where this like childlike energy has a potential, a creative energy has a potential to come to the surface.
Yeah. I love it. It's nicely put, my little Mariana. Yes, I think we are good with Virgo. Yeah. We wish you a happy season, Virgos. Don't forget to check your sun, ascendant, and moon to have more insight. We give you many kisses. Happy season. Okay, Libra Sun, Libra Ascendant, Libra Moon. The Sun in Aquarius for you is in your fifth house from January 20 to February 18. So the Sun in Aquarius in your fifth house, it's so what is the fifth house first? It's about creativity. It's about romance. This house is about romance, love affair. That's how we
Mhm.
affiliate this house. It's about children. It's about social and entertainment. It's about creativity. That I really link this house as a house that can bring that where we can channel arts or where we can channel new ideas, and especially in Aquarius, having this placement, this fifth house in Aquarius, it's a hair sign. So for me, it's like bringing new idea on the table, but it's also about people, how to improve a system. I don't know how to say it, but like
Yeah.
it's a lot about how to improve the world or how do we live in. Um,
Yeah, creative ways to innovation.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of things happening in that house. You have Saturn in that house. So it, I will say they can be related for those who have children, or those who want to get pregnant. That's a lot of thing related around fertility, children. So those topics can come up a lot during that season, but it already was something that started in December 2020 because Saturn came into that area of your chart. Um,
Yeah.
and like we say, Saturn can be tough sometimes. It can ask you to be structured about your life. So maybe you are planning in your life to have children, or when do you have children? I see a
Mhm.
lot of people with that placement going through it. Or it can be something related to like we say love affair or romance that can be
Mhm.
more not dramatic but more intense with Saturn in that house, because Saturn try to plan roots and long-term relationship. Then having this in this house can be too much volatile for Saturn.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can interpret like Aquarius in the fifth house, but I do feel
Um,
like there's also something really highly creative in that house
yeah,
about learning a new art, learning a new way to do
yeah,
art. It can be for drawing.
absolutely. For me, honestly, the fifth house sometimes has to do with science, like very, very traditionally speaking, more or almost like it's one of the schools of thought considers this to be one with the fifth and ninth house to be science houses of science, like biology and things like that. So why I say that is for Libra ascendant people, the fifth house, it's opportunity to merge creative beauty persuade because Libra is ruled by Venus. So like themes around beauty and aesthetic and art and creativity with technological progress in one
Mhm.
way or another. You know, how do you do art? How do you bring technological progress into the art world and vice versa?
Yeah,
How do you what how do you organize how you build communities around like creating new ways to approach art? For me it's very much, you know, this theme of NFTs.
yeah,
That idea is very like Libra ascendant Aquarius fifth house.
yeah.
It's just something like that, you know, like or did any kind of digital art. What else for Libra Sun and Saturn being there with Sun? Um,
And there's a new moon in the first house.
and
So
there is
like related to fertility, just do it if you want to have a baby. The time that's a good
yeah,
one. But when you link it to what is happening in the sixth house,
yeah,
there's a lot that are like, oh no, sorry, yeah, it's the
the
sixth
fourth,
house, right? I just corrected it because we were like it was wrong. So
mhm, the fifth. Venus direct in the fourth house.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, I did a mistake here.
The fourth house. Yeah, so I think with the ruler of Libra ascendant people, Libra in their fourth house in Capricorn retrograding, a lot of reevaluation around relationship with maternal figures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the way you want to be mother or how you've been mothered, you
Yeah.
know, like, and authority that mother figure played in your role. It can be it can be a father, but if father was a mother figure, then it's like the fourth house, you know. Especially, I think, yeah, it's very interesting that here a lot of themes around home can be changing for Libra.
Yeah.
Around what the idea of home, what home means to you, potential moving around, especially after Mars and Venus come together in the house, and that year.
Yeah.
I have like that sense that 2022 for a lot of moon, especially moon and rising Libras, will be a year of relocation. Maybe it will have to do with something because Uranus, I mean, it's not like about Aquarius, but Uranus in the 8th house, like some kind of transformation that Libras are going through. But overall, I think a lot of things around home, family, children are relevant.
Yeah, I do feel like it's, yeah, because when I was thinking about children with the 5th house, and I'm like, the 4th house is literally about your upbringing into the world.
Yeah.
And for having Venus retrograding in that part, Mars, it's a lot to do with family matters. That happened since December. That can have like a lot of questioning around it, a lot of disturbing ground around family.
Pluto is there.
Yeah, and exactly. So it's a lot of thing related to family, and maybe sometimes discord around family, a lot of external event happening around family. Is also related to with Venus retrograde and Mars. I like having Venus retrograde in that part of the chart because for me it's like going back to your lineage or ancestor. That might be something recently that came up around your lineage or ancestor or an interest that is happening around that part of that. Where am I from? What is my culture? What is my heritage?
It's so crazy. Sorry to interrupt you. I have Moon in Libra, and like last 2 weeks, I have been connecting to like this social, like online communities that are about my ancestry, and they would have this conversation, and I'll be like, oh, this is this transformation and reevaluation about where you're coming from.
That's so nice. And it's lovely because it's like a sense of reconnection to who you really are and your inner self is to know yourself in the deepest way because you carry genetically, it's proven like your lineage, your past, the memories of your lineage. Some people consider lineage way stronger than past life because you carry it also in the body.
Yeah.
So it's an heritage that you have that you need to research to be able to understand yourself in a better way. And I'm talking about a larger, broad way here. Like I said, me, my family, my ancestor, my grandma, from the like all my family is from North Africa. We're from the Maghreb, we call it. Use a lot of argan oil, and I couldn't find anything that could deep moisturize in my skin. And I was like, use what your mom or your grandma is using. That's what I was like being called to do. And I started to use argan oil.
I love
right away, my skin reacted. It was like instantly reacted.
In what way?
It's like in my skin, when I put it on my skin, the dryness, the I don't know, like I had a lot of dry spots. And I could try anything that didn't work. Every time that I use food linked to my lineage, or I use product on my skin, on myself, linked to what my ancestor used to take, my body will react. Whether my digestion system got way better when I started to cook
in
food.
a positive way. In a positive
way.
Yeah.
like just was on track. It's just like I felt like when I connected to what my people was using. So genetically, what I want to come to is that genetically we are connected to that thing, to that lineage, to our lineage, and that what they're using can be beneficial to our body. So for Libra, what I'm thinking is like this reconnection spiritually, because it's
I
also
love it.
yeah, it's spiritually and body also, and where I'm from. And with Mars here coming into that will put you to action. That will definitely say, okay, I really like what I'm discovering. I really like what I'm getting close to. I want to put more effort into it. This is a pleasure that I have. And with Mercury retrograding in that part of your chart and conjunct Pluto on February 11, that will even put your mindset on your new sidewalk, a new pathway. So you can be having highlights and discovery around.
In the fourth house, and Mercury is about movement. So I keep getting this idea from what you said, like also the Venus rules, Venus, Mars ruling the seventh house from Libra ascendant people.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, and Mars being in the fourth, and Mars going retrograde in their fourth house. So relocation because of the partner.
Oh, yeah. Because of the partner, there is something, yeah, definitely.
Or something in terms of reevaluation of the relationship with the partner, and how, like, maybe how your relationship with the partner is reflected in how you've been raised, or your ancestral ties.
Yeah.
That through your ascendant Venus going there too, you can reevaluate and then gain a deeper clarity around that. But I love what you said about like connecting to ancestral habits or like beauty routines. Venus in the fourth house.
Yeah, I like it's a basic thing: beauty routine, food, like what is, because with the modern witches, what happened, especially the last conferences, was like the focus on ancestral and lineage and where you're from. And so I got digging into it, and it was just like even the most smaller thing, food that I didn't think about, eating what my mom is eating all the time, or my grandma. You don't need to go too far. it's actually really crazy, like how it just recharges you in another way. So all the time that I'm like, I see people, oh, drink celery juice is really good for you, and do a cure with that. I'm like, yes, of course it's going to be really good for you. Maybe not going to do the same impact as someone who eats like from generation to generation celery, but maybe you have a benefit, a better better result with something, just food that your mom or grandma was eating, you know. So I just think sometimes people are thinking too general, when you need also to just individualize your experience.
For sure, like nothing is like an ultimate.
Not everything works for everyone.
Nothing is an ultimate remedy, right? We need to remember that, and we need to stop applying that mindset to everything.
For sure.
And also one thing I want to mention, the new moon in the fifth house. So yeah, like you said, time to begin something related to children, also time to begin a project that's like a birth of a child or something, you know, like also like very, you know, like giving a birth to something that brings a child within you out. So
sorry, we totally missed that about the fifth house. I totally forgot to talk about the child
within, creativity, joyful thing. What
joyful.
You need to connect, Libra ascendant, connect to something, initiate something around February 1st and after, something that, especially like few days after that, everything like goes direct, like Venus be 2 days before and Mercury few days after. So you have this like, okay, like joy to start something within.
Yeah, the initial. But like when we say children, it can be sometimes I feel like as a project or relation, like at the birth of something is in the fifth house.
100%, yeah.
So I hope you liked it, Libras. We wish you a happy season. Check out your sun, your ascendant, and your moon if you didn't. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So Scorpio sun, ascendant, and moon. Welcome. Your sun is in Aquarius in the fourth house for you from January 20 to February 18. So, and in this part of your chart, the fourth house, you have Saturn already there, and the Sun and Saturn are going to meet on February 4th. And you have a new moon also in that part of your chart where Saturn, the Sun, and the moon are going to conjunct and square Uranus. So what does this all mean?
So much.
So much. So basically the fourth house is one of your point, like your focus point. So the fourth house is where your upbringing, where you are from, where you grow up, your family. People link it to your lineage, ancestral roots. Yeah, basically your family and where you're from is your home. People also attribute the fourth house as your home, where you're living, your environment. So I, I think the sun coming into that zone for can be depending of course of your chart can be interpreted in different ways. So during those topics, so you can be some of you can be really focused on your home environment. Some of you can want to create beauty in your room, and with Saturn here is less is more. So maybe being doing a big washing, wash it up. This is time to clean and to get rid of stuff. This is maybe the time. For others, it's going to be more focused on, like we talk about. So with Libra, so I invite you to listen to Libra horoscope when we talk more about ancestral lineage and your ancestor and your lineage. That can be a focus on that too, right? Your interests rise up and you want to know more about your past and your lineage and where you're from and your culture. It can be also for family, around family and around the relationship that you have with the father, with the mother, in general. Big one. So can be a lot of movement around that. So those are the three topics that we usually focus on the fourth house.
Yeah. And a Scorpio ascendant because Saturn in the fourth house, in the land of Aquarius, it's a transit that sort of makes you, maybe because Aquarius energy in general is very not very, but sometimes can be detached and out of this world, and Saturn being there, and the fourth house is about being nurtured. So maybe there's a sense for Scorpio rising people here that they're like a bit undernourished. You know, they don't receive care that they need, but Sun going there and Sun being there, it's like, how do you like sort of do it yourself? How do you compensate for something that has been lacking for you one way or another?
Yeah, because I think also with like Scorpio rising, when you have Aquarius in your fourth house, so your angular house, there's something about your upbringing that was like make you different from your family. And kind of like the crazy scientist, you know, that nobody believed, but at the end we all believe in, and we say he's a genius.
I love Scorpio rising people.
Archetype of like, this is something that's like, oh, you are the one in your family that's a little bit like different than everybody
else. The black sheep.
Yeah, like the black sheep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's something that is interesting to look at in the fourth house, but yeah, there's definitely a highlight this season for you. But also another layer to add to that fourth house is that you have Mars and Venus, which Mars is your planet. You're the Scorpio is his ruler.
Yeah, so, and Pluto is another ruler both in Capricorn, right?
Exactly. In modern astrology, you have Pluto. It's also your ruler. You have Mars and Pluto in modern astrology.
Yeah.
And so you have these both planets in the third house. So just the house before the fourth house in Capricorn. And the third house is about communication. And so Venus retrograded in that part of your chart too. So you have a lot of things that are happening also in your third house, which is communication, your environment, your sibling, yeah, how you communicate. So it can be something around the third chakra, that like expressing what needs to be expressed for you, or saying what needs to be said, and be true to your surrounding, or like
Mhm.
people that around you. And because my gut is saying, like, because you have so much happening in the fourth house plus your environment in the third house, so much happening into like your neighborhood, like inside your family, your sibling, there's
Mhm.
something missing and brewing here. um
100%.
yeah, so it's a lot about how you express your voice in the fourth third house. Also, like, just on a high note, if you like thinking of like broadcasting, doing a new YouTube channel, doing podcast, this is also the house of like sharing information through those network.
For sure.
So this is something that can be good. Those date for you, where Venus and Mars conjunct on February 13th, can be really good. It can be coming to a truth, or to
Mhm.
finally bringing, like we call it on the first part, the male principle and the female principle together. So it's something merging in your communication that can be released.
For sure. I want to add one thing about the third house here is that it's a house of skills, right?
Yeah.
So perfecting some skills, and I have like this inkling that, and not just inkling, because I know a lot of Scorpio ascendant people, but the thing is, and those that I know are going through this, like going back to creativity, perfecting the skill of creativity with communication, writing, drawing,
Mhm.
sketching, all sorts of things, and sort of like going back, refining that, like uh, I have a feeling, because like it's a Venus, it's like arts, like, and Venus for Scorpio in the 12th house, again, helping the like release a lot of inner
Mm.
conscious things through the third
Yeah.
house means, right? Like, so through like writing, or through some skills, or through communication, you like your values become so much more obvious to you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's a big one here.
Sorry, I'm correcting something on that quickly at the same time. Um, there's also the moon cycle around this season for you is the new moon in your fourth house. So like we talk about family roots, your home,
Mhm.
your ancestral lineage, but also the full moon in Leo in the 10th house. So that sometimes it's really practical in terms of like you're finishing the 10th house is career status, the authority figures, especially at work. And sometimes it's just the end of a project, the end of a cycle. Oh, it's something that like finish or close up, or it's something that you need to readjust. So for you, this moon cycle is really about like your home environment and your career, and
and
in the balance between those two.
and also how your parents' style of work life balance affected you. What's the emphasis, what's the dynamic, how did you um where are you separate in that understanding, because it's very much ancestral axis, fourth and 10th, right? So how have you been affected by those who came before you, in terms of what your home is like, like what's your outer life looks like, and what matters to you here, and maybe like communicating that to yourself, at least internally, what actually, because again, Mercury going back into the Capricorn, so there's a lot of understanding what actually matters to you in terms of like that work life balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope so, Scorpios, you liked it. I wish you a happy. We wish you a happy season. Check out your sun, ascendant, and moon if you didn't. Yes, and see you next time. Bye bye, Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Sagittarius. I am a Sagittarius.
Yay.
um, so Sun in Aquarius for you, Sagittarius, is in the third house.
Mm-hmm.
So the third house is a house of communication, is a house of sibling, is a house of your environment, your neighbors. Yeah, and like we said, the communication. So really, how you make yourself heard, and how you like people hear yourself. So it's a lot of focusing and a lot of, it's a busy house. So sometimes it can create your environment or everything around you can be busy. Your social life can be really busy. The third house, some people also related to ritual. And so like in daily life, even if like I think of the sixth house as schedule, I think of the third house as more the ritual, your connection to your organization in your environment.
Mhm.
And there's a lot happening here because in the same house we have Saturn, and the Sun and Saturn going to conjunct on February 4th. And you have also Mercury, you have a new moon in that part of your chart. So there's a lot of reorganization, restructure, new intention around how you communicate to others. There's also maybe with sibling a lot of arrangement. And so there is a need again for Sagittarius to. There's also this house is also about knowledge, but how to communicate knowledge through different networks. So there is something the need to Sagittarius are teachers, so there's maybe a need to communicate your truth or
Yeah.
something related to your voice. So anything related work with the third chakra can be for meditation is a good time to do it. And Aquarius is about your mind, it's about thinking. And so how you communicate your idea or how you organize your idea for your environment to understand it can be a really impactful moment for you.
Yeah. Unorthodox communication about something that hasn't been done
Yeah.
before. And because Saturn there, and Saturn at the end of the day is very closely related to governments and structures. So it's like communicating about how can we revolutionize the governmental things, communicating about how can we revolutionize organization, how can we restructure the way how the community works, and because third house is that like tight knit community. It's our neighborhood, right? It's our neighbors, it's the block we live on, it's a grocery store we like buy food from, like it's our siblings, things like that. So it's like, how can we make, for Sagittarius people, how can we make our immediate environment in terms of like what we see every day, where we make a short distance travel, like to the, I don't know, like a bagel shop around the corner or something like that. How do we make this thing as being the neighborhood run better, the community? How do we serve our community here?
Yeah, agree.
In many ways.
Yeah, like, and especially because there's this full moon happening in the opposite sign in the ninth house. So is that like how you communicate you choose and your knowledge, and how you can bring spirituality into the mix, and coming to a conclusion around your truth in terms of like who you're connecting with in terms of divine, and to be able to put this on earth. I love it. Like this, like opposition.
I love it. Yeah, because ninth house is like you take the grand idea and you break it down that it serves the purpose of small individual groups.
Yeah.
Or you apply it in a way where like a unique skill set developed of the third house. And then new moon in the third house again, starting something new, like some kind of new endeavor. It can be a social endeavor. It can be endeavor, not like on social media or something like that. Starting to write something for someone or for yourself, or it's just that
how you use the communication tool, no matter what to do. It can be video, it can be writing, it can be arts, it can be anything that allowed you to communicate your truth will be really important during that time.
Very much.
Journaling, it can be for the season you decide to everyday journal, pull up a tarot card and communicate, and having this internal communication with yourself can be really helpful.
Yeah, let's not forget though that Saturn is there, so it has to have a long-term potential, and it has to have some kind of more or less well-defined structure, better more than less. So so it's about like organizing your thoughts and skills in a way that benefits a community, organizing your skills and expressing your sun through that.
And the thing that's happening also in the background for you is that you have Mars, Venus, but also Mercury is going to retrograde into that part in the second house, which is the house of money.
Money, honey.
Yeah, it's the house of money. It's the house. Pluto has been there for 2008 in that part of the chart. There is also something related to how do I increase my skill? How do I use my skill, my talents, my worth? Like, how do I make money with that? In terms of like, if we want to be like, well, it's like, there is a part with your skill and your talents, and there's a part with your income. So how do you create money with that? So there is maybe with Venus, who've been in that part of the chart retrograding, and Venus we know is about pleasure and all that, but it's also like finance, material things with Venus here, and so that might be a over like thinking about in Capricorn, especially in Capricorn, long term, long view we want to build. There's maybe something that is like, how do I create my own wealth? How can I improve my salary or my income? It can be asking for like something like your boss, something higher, but I do think is more about you and how you create your own skill and your talent to build something better. And linked to the third house, I do see, and you want to bring something to a community, to an environment. So I like having that on the second house. It's a pretty intense house, but Venus there will teach you how to make money, basically. And with Mars there, be careful of spending money.
When Mars is in the money house, it's like it comes and goes.
Yeah. It can be fast. So like just be careful with your finance. But
it's good that it's Saturn ruled sign, Capricorn. So it's gonna like put some brakes on that.
Yeah.
But still, you know, but like Mars, because Mars rules your fifth house, so like rethinking fifth and 12th. So like again, creativity, like being fired up about how you can express your creativity. And that is very important. And Venus ruling your 6th and 11th house, again, like working with people who are like-minded. Community building brings money.
Yeah.
For Sagittarius people, community building and clear routine around that 11th/6th house relationship is about like, that's what will bring you money. And just like reevaluating again what communities you want to be part of. That's what Venus retrograde is there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're all good for Sagittarius.
I think so.
I think so. We wish you a happy season. Don't forget to check out your sun, ascendant, and moon if you didn't. We'll see you next season. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So Capricorn, sun, ascendant, and rising. Do you want to start now, Mariana? Let's do it.
I can. I mean,
let's do it.
Why not? So Capricorn season, as we record this video, we're still in the Capricorn season, and we are like with the speed of light moving towards Aquarius. But for Capricorn, sun, rising, moon, Aquarius is your second house. Sun and your ruler Saturn are there right now until February 18th, from January 20th to February 18th. So and Capricorn, having Saturn in the second house can feel a little restricting. Having your ruler in the house of money can feel like I cannot just do what's needed to be done in terms of what I think my value is and where my value is to bring resources into my life. But I think here we need to understand that one Sun and conjunct Saturn, the way to think about it is you have to apply your unique understanding about money and unusual, unconventional ideas about how money can be acquired. If you go with your traditional Saturnian approach, you won't bring money in. You won't bring resources in because it's a house of Aquarius. Second house for you is Aquarius. So for you, money is where comes through unconventional, organized, and innovative way. right? So this is a season for Capricorn risings to like think, how can I transform my approach to acquiring resources in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, and also like with having like Mars moving there and Venus retrograding there, you have a lot of cleaning up to do within your first house. There's like a major cleanup that you need to do before. So I feel like Capricorns will get such a push forward after February 4th. But until then, you have a lot to clean up, to understand within your system of values. What are you valuable for?
Capricorn went through so much, especially there was so much happening for them. Last in 2020, they like there was a big transformation happening, and in their first house. So the first house is about yourself, it's about your body, it's about your mind, it's about your entire self.
All areas of your life.
All area of your life is like really like it's about you as this individual, only yourself. And having so much happening, and now having Venus retrograding in that part of the chart, and Mars coming in what? Mars is coming in January 24th. There's again an ask for new beginning in that part of it. There's again a need for transformation.
Capricorns just don't get break.
They didn't get a break. Like right now, it's still asking, and Pluto is still part of the chart into 2024. So even if it's a late degrees, and you went through the hardest part, but right now there's Mars and Venus. So again, male principle, female principle coming together. They conjunct on February 13th. That ask you again to renewal. So I said for Capricorn, especially like with this Venus and Mars conjunction, I treat it again like a new moon on February 13th. This is a really good moment for you around that time to do the intention about what do I like, what do I enjoy, what do I want to put forward, what I want to put my action in something that please me, because Capricorn Ascendant can be so tough on themselves, so harsh. And so the goal here is to recreate something around my action and my pleasure, and my action, what I want to desire with like pleasure. And so I do think they need to add more pleasure into their life, into themselves, and into their body, what they enjoy. They can be the mind or it can be the body. And with that placement, I will say just what you're feeding your body in terms of food, or what you're feeding your body in terms of like knowledge is really important in the first
especially when Mercury goes back there.
Especially Mercury goes back there and conjunct Pluto. And your Mercury is your mind, is how you communicate, is also contract. But here I will really emphasize on you. It's about you. It's about you. How do you find pleasure in small things, and how do you really reset your brain? And so when I ask you this, is more about your relationship to, for example, technology, social media. Are you spending too much time? What your brain is being fed on? Are you losing? I'm guilty of that. Are you losing too much time on the thread and Facebook and Instagram? And like what right now is really important to feed good food and good knowledge to your brain, because Capricorn are really structural, and I do feel like if they feed themselves really well, they can be really high, like in terms of like knowledge, and they can be really good in terms of what they're doing, because they have the discipline, they have the structure, they have the long-term goal. So everything related to that will be really good during that season. And to go back to what Mariana said about Saturn in the second house, that can be tough. That can be, especially in 2021 in terms of money, like there's a push of restriction around your money, how you spend your money. And
especially Uranus squaring your second house placement, like Saturn in your second house, Uranus squaring from fifth house.
Yeah, and there can be a feeling like at the beginning, like something, a trapment with Saturn, like I cannot do that much, but now that Saturn is in the middle, it's like almost in the middle of this transit in Aquarius, there is a need to like, you will figure this out. You probably already did, and you're gonna improve your income in a more healthy way and a better long-standing way, with being with Aquarius being like kind of like we said, the crazy scientist with the archetype of the Aquarius can be like being innovation, finding innovation in your income, finding the way that not the normal path, but maybe taking a twist and finding another way.
Absolutely. And I think Mercury is going to be very pivotal here, because Mercury, once it conjuncts Pluto, and because mythologically and symbolically, Mercury is the one who travels to Hades, to Pluto, and has access actually to Pluto. So it's very familiar. So here there will be like in-depth knowledge about hidden resources, Plutonian things, coming to the surface on the second Mercury Pluto coming together, like, because it's returning there, it's been there already, right? It received some information, it went on a journey, it looked around, it's coming back to finish getting the needed information to extract necessary resources once it goes back into Aquarius, into the second house.
Yep.
You know, so it's bringing that information from Pluto into the Aquarius and feeding that. Maybe once when Mercury like comes to Saturn, it will it will pass the information from Pluto into the Aquarius, into the planets in Aquarius. So
So, but we hope you liked it, Capricorn. We hope you enjoyed a little insight for you for this season. We wish you a happy season. Don't forget to check your sun, ascendant, and moon if you didn't. And see you next season. Bye bye, Capricorns.
Bye.
Oh, Aquarius.
Hi, Aquarius.
Hi, Aquarius. We talk about you so much.
All we talk about.
Yeah. Happy birthdays for those who have the sun in Aquarius. This is your season. So let's talk about where the sun for you in Aquarius means. And it's basically your first house is a house about yourself. It's yourself being, who am I? Your body, your self-expression, your individuality. So it is a house that represents yourself. It's the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of everything. So having the sun here is kind of a little reset, little reboot.
New year.
Yes, and so you already have Saturn inside of this house, which has been really asking you to be really strict on yourself and really or like kind of asking you already to do a cleanup about what you want to keep, what you want to do, and what you want to let go since December 2020. There has been a lot happening for you in terms of yourself, and with Uranus and Taurus and this square happening all the time with yourself, that has been a tough for you because they ask you to innovate yourself all the time. They ask you to be new again all the time. So in the first house is like being the shapeshifter all the time can be harsh, and it's asking you to rebuild yourself basically. And with the sun in Aquarius is going to conjunct Saturn on February 4th, which again it's a big like the sun is recharging Saturn. So it's really interesting, especially with when you have everything happening in your first house. The opposite sign is your relationship. So it's also this dynamic between you and what you want and what you give to people. And this house is right now not having a lot of activity, so you might focus a lot on yourself. And the moon cycle that you're going to be in this season is between your seventh house, the people, and yourself. So there is a lot of those dynamics right now, and what you need, what you want, and what you give to others.
For some reason, the way I feel about Sun, Saturn in Aquarius in their first house, I feel like in not in a negative way, but in a way that's very necessary. Saturn here puts a little bit of demand on Aquarius self-expression in terms of like how, because Saturn also a rule of the Aquarius for 12th house, right? So here a lot of hidden subconscious self-limiting beliefs, you know, and they're coming to the surface, and you see how do you kind of like block yourself from progress. How do you yourself, you first house, are your main obstacle sometimes. That's for me with Aquarius, especially because there's such a sense of independence to Aquarians, like they, and it's tough love right now for me, but in many ways it's about where Saturn in 12th house do you think you're not deserving, and you don't even realize it sometimes, and now you have this opportunity to understand that.
So you mean Saturn in first house, right?
I mean, like, yeah, but Saturn also like Saturn right now in the first house, but Saturn in Capricorn ruled by Saturn, so Saturn rules.
Oh, yeah,
rules the first house and the 12th house, right?
Yeah.
So this dynamic, the Saturn ruling also a 12th house right now, because Saturn is coming to the surface and being like very much at the table with Aquarius, right? Not like somewhere in the background.
And it's really interesting of what you're saying, specifically the 12th house, because we're jumping on that because there is so much happening also in
happening
your 12th house.
A lot.
So like, let's say
sabotage, self-limiting beliefs.
Exactly. So there's a lot of reboots in terms. So it's why it's so important for you that time, because you have yourself, and you have the 12th house, Mars, Venus,
Pluto,
and Pluto also is there since 2008, like in your inconscious. So versus your first house is yourself, your being, how you've been seen in the world, how people sees you. The 12th house is your inconscient. It represents your conscience. See it as first house conscience, 12th house inconscience. And so a lot have happened with, especially a Venus retrograde that is still happening until Venus goes station direct in January 29. And Mars is coming in. When does the Mars come? Move into Capricorn in January 24th. So there's a lot of disturbance around this, and it's with Mars coming into that part of the chart, there's also sometimes some passive aggressivity, or like blowing up for no reason, like something that warm your water that warm your emotion, like
absolutely. It's one way it can play out. Another way, it's like your energy is going somewhere you don't understand where it's going.
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah,
it's just like 12th house. It's like sort of like it's your vital energy being in a 12th house. It's like you don't have it.
You don't have it. Exactly, you don't have it. You can lose it. It's palpable. You catch it, you leave it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it can be interesting, but there's also a nice space where Mars and Venus are going to conjunct on February 13. So there is a new set also here. So you have a new beginning in your conscience and another new beginning in yourself, in your unconscious. So I will say, keep in mind February 13 when Venus and Mars are conjunct in your 12th house. And also where you have Saturn and the Sun conjunct on February 4th in your first house, because those two, I will, if you are into intention, if you are into ritual or candle magic, anything, those are the 2 days that will really treat it as a new moon or a new beginning, a new reset, if you want to talk about yourself and your unconscious. The 12th house is also your connection to spirituality, to channeling, to the divine in general, in a more like really watery way. I don't know how to say it. So anything related to want to channel, you want to connect to your guide, to God, whatever you want to call it, what is your belief system, this is also a good time to do it.
I have a feeling that and honestly it's partly intuitive but partially not. It's like 12th house Venus Mars conjunction, it's about self-love, action of self-love. Because Aquarians really have hard time showing love to themselves. It's like, honestly, when they say Capricorn is the hardest on themselves, I truly believe Aquarians are the hardest on themselves. I really do. Like from like a personal experience of Aquarians that I know, and just the energy, the level, the scale of ambition of an Aquarian is so grand that the fear of not achieving that, that not being loved or not being appreciated, and all that is connected. And Venus Mars in the 12th house is like, how do you show that love to yourself? How do you, because Aquarians, like when they don't love themselves, they become this kind of they separate from society. They don't contribute to the society. They judge society in terms of like, because they see imperfection, they see how it can be, how can it be improved, but they don't feel like their input is valuable. So this is the time to understand that your input is valuable. It's like,
because I do feel when an Aquarius Sun or Ascendant, and I agree, it's about self-love. I do believe for some of the people who are Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, it's going to be about self-love.
For sure, 12th house. On a very subconscious level, things will start bubbling up, bubbling, and Pluto there will really like facilitate the process.
Yeah, and I agree. Aquarius are really so smart on how they see the world. And how they see also justice. I know Libra, we're talking about fairness, justice, and Sagittarius, we're talking about law. But Aquarius, we're talking about people. In terms of what is fair, in terms of like people suffering. I don't know how to say it. Minority, small community, people who has been left out of the society. And they will preach for those community in a really intensive way. And they're really smart with their words. Aquarius is a fast pace in the mind. They will be smart on how they talk. And I like what you said about, is they don't feel that they're needed into the world, then they will like
they will become that sort of like anarchist that doesn't want
exactly, the anarchists that don't want to deal with anybody because
because they feel like it's useless.
It will be the troll on Twitter.
or like someone who hacks everything.
Which maybe we
know someone like that.
I don't know, but just saying.
It's like Aquarians are going through like a Mercury retrograding from their sign, from their first house into their 12th house and coming back into their first house and connecting to Pluto. Again, the valuable information about the self and connection to subconscious mind. And not because it's a very logical energy, Aquarian energy, right? And here they need, in order to like really not, because Aquarians, and I don't want to sound judgmental or anything, but there is a sense of like, it's a fixed sign, right? So there is a sense of knowing and not budging under any circumstances. This season will teach Aquarians how
they will not budge.
They won't.
They will. And it's hard because so many people say Aquarians in astrology. When I first got into the astrology, it was like saying Aquarius are not emotionally involved. In terms of like, if they have an idea, they will think of the community in a larger scale. But
I think they're way too involved, actually. I think they're so involved that it becomes so overwhelmed.
And I just feel like then they were saying there's sort of coldness in Aquarius. I just don't see it.
I love Aquarians.
I just don't see it in Aquarians. I just feel like actually they care so much.
Because in order to detach so much, you have to care so much. In order to run so fast, you have to care a lot to run that fast.
Sorry, Aquarius, we get carried away, but that's your birthday, and
we love you so
talk about you. But so there is, and it's such important for me right now. Aquarius, for me, or the one like Capricorn has been in tough position. Aquarius with the season, that their season, and is like a big. We're both, like I say, on the inconscious and conscious level, and about us, the self-love and unconscious level, like you speak about, Mariana. that I really liked, and about themselves and how they want to be presented in the world.
For sure. One more thing, just quickly, like we've mentioned for Aries, Ascendant people, Aquarius season is so important here because like Uranus is going, your like modern day ruler is going direct right now soon, like today, right?
Yeah, Uranus is going direct, and really soon already.
Like today, tomorrow, maybe like I need to check the exact time, but Uranus direct, Venus in part of your second part of your season, everything's gonna go direct. I think almost everything, and it's like a go time before the rest time. It's like really important. This is Aquarius. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you, Aquarians.
Thank you, Mariana, for your insight. It was beautiful. Thank you, Aquarius. Enjoy your season. A lot of good stuff in the long run. We love it. We see you next time. Don't forget to check your ascendant, sun, or moon if you didn't. We love you, and we wish you a happy season. Bye-bye. Pisces. Little watery Pisces. I've a really big love for Pisces. My moon is in Pisces, so of course I'm gonna have a little like
my Mercury is
a little. And you have
North Node in Pisces. I'm like,
that's So a little Pisces, Sun, Ascendant, and Moon. Your Sun. Do you like? I would love to let you start because I feel I start all the time and I feel I didn't give you the space.
Okay.
I just wanted to.
I can start. I can stop. Okay.
We're losing it. This is the last sign.
Yeah, I love it actually, but kind of. So Pisces Sun, Aquarius is in your 12th house, which is traditionally 12th house associated with the Pisces, right? So here we have that breakthrough, that revolution of unconscious mind, this season of things being looked at from different perspective for you. Aquarius season for you is the season where like healing behind the doors is happening for you, healing, like letting go of things that you see that with Saturn being there might be a sense of fear of being unorthodox.
Saturn likes to be in the 12th house.
It does, but still, Saturn is Saturn, right? Yeah. It still does. It still brings the restrictions. It's like Saturn doesn't all of a sudden turn into Jupiter.
Yes.
Yeah, but it does truly. Saturn loves being in the 12th house because it's almost the way I look at it. It's like minus and minus makes a plus.
Yeah.
You know, but it because whatever Saturn touches, it diminishes it, right? It's like it creates a lack. What is 12th house? It's a house of actually like losing something or self-sabotage. So here there can be especially Mercury being in Aquarius retrograde, there can be an understanding of how you sabotage yourself and then you let it go.
Yeah.
You know, how your subconscious or like patterns that started long time ago or even before you were born, right, how they are limiting you, and Saturn will help maybe resolve those things.
Yeah,
I really love it.
You said about the fact that for Pisces this season is about healing.
Yeah.
I do feel with the Sun highlighting your subconscious mind, the 12th house, highlighting the wound, highlighting the secrets, highlighting what is need to be like filled with love. It's really important when the Sun is coming into that house. I do feel it's a benefactor, and that is like, oh, it's time for me to kind of retreat and kind of have my own like healing journey during Aquarius season. And I just like that anything work related to healing, like you can use the tower, you can use meditation, you can do Reiki. There's so many things that you can do. Anything that you feel drawn to do it that season is the path for you to heal. you might already feel it. You might already be drawn to something. It can be anything, a workshop, a certificate, and then everything that you feel like will give you healing and time, space for yourself. And for Pisces, they love that. Like they need to have this. They need to have their moments of just pure joy of going far away in lands that are unexplored through the third eyes. You know, it's like it's a nice pathway. But you also have it's a placement that's gonna ask you to retreat a little bit, but you won't be able to do it all the time because you have so much happening in your 11th house of group friendships, hope and dreams. So there is an active, like you have Mars, you have Venus, that when retrograding that are part of the chart. So that might be with Venus retrograde, you might have a not an intense activity with your friends or going out that much or being out there, yes, but it's gonna go back full motion after.
Especially with feminine energies in your life, female communities or feminine, the communities that have an emphasis on feminine energy.
If you feel drawn to anything healing through the divine feminine, just go for it because Venus is with this retrograde is like linked to your hope, goals, and it can be really, really nice to do it. Also, like, so there is a lot happening in the 11th house with this conjunction of Venus and Mars. So anything related to your goals and dream, we love it. We say yes to it. We put new intention in the world on February 13 when Venus and Mars are conjunct in that part of your chart. I think it's beautiful. And adding up with the 12th house, this is a nice combo. Those two houses, I do feel like a nice combo for you. You get to heal spiritually, you get to highlight your healing power, your connection to divine, and at the same time get to implement your hope and dream. So yes, I do feel it's a beautiful combo.
Yeah, and new moon. New moon in your 12th house. And 12th house, if there is a sign for which 12th house is more or less comfortable, it's Pisces. It's like, oh, bingo, like that.
This is your house.
It's your house, so you know, like you sort of have a better understanding of the workings, ins and outs of it, right?
Yeah.
So you have this opportunity to start within the group Aquarius a new spiritual practice, you know, that's healing and beneficial for the community, right? And then full moon in Leo in the 6th house on February 16th for you, it's like, again, like I always keep like reiterating this thing where like which routines are there to support you and which routines are there to hinder you. Because there are those which support and those that don't, and the ones that you need to release need to be released, you know, like healing, the body healing, mind healing, especially like with the full moon. Do something for your physical body. Implement something, because there's so much emphasis on the 12th house. You need to take care of the container for all the 12th house energy. The container being your body. You know, it's always like you look for support in the opposite sign. Pisces looks for the support in Virgo to complete sort of like self. And lots of cool things, and all of them are about spiritual expansion within the greater community.
Yeah, because it's still so much happening in the 11th house, which is the group, the community, your friends. So it might be good like to go out with friends, yes, to spend time a little bit in community, but like those healing process and this healing journey, it would be great if you can find a group, class, something that you can do that connects you to a higher purpose.
Yeah. I don't know why I want to mention this, but I will. I don't know. But I'm like thinking that Mars rules your 2nd house and Mars 2nd and 9th. But if we specifically talk about finances, like think about the ways your community can help you bring more finances in.
Yeah, because it's
how innovation can help you increase your financial stability or value, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be financial, value within your life. How the community brings value into your life.
Yeah, your skill sets and your talents.
Absolutely. And yeah, Venus third house, again, through the skill set, through things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have this thing where very much community is your pillar of support now.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it. Love it.
But I hope you loved it, Pisces. We wish you a happy season. Don't forget to check out your sun, your ascendant, and your moon if you didn't. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to us. We hope you liked it. We hope you enjoyed it. And I guess Mariana and I are seeing you for Pisces season.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And it's a pleasure to talk to you via this internet landscape.
Yeah, exactly. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.